Hi, welcome to Rose Colombo's Issues of the Day. That in 1993, President Clinton was on the air, and some people were asking him, what are you going to do about the thousands of jobless people? Because the funding for the Defense Department was cut back and thousands of people lost their jobs. And his reply was, well, you need to get involved in your communities into job training.
Well,
what about our Defense Department that has...
Defense, we are surrendering to the United Nations. A world that is free is not united.
But immediately after President Clinton took office, isn't it a fact he cut the defense spending?
Right.
And also he started closing the military bases?
And one of the military bases that they want to turn over to the communists is Long Beach. And we've put a stop to that. The only way that they can do that now is to circumvent the Congress of the United States. Bill, and this particular article here, this peso bill, is bailing out Mexico. The Congress said, no, we're not going to bail out Mexico because it's simply giving the Mexican government our money that we earn to pay the interest on their national debt to the international banksters, and the American people are being shafted.
Well, is that any different than us selling arms to Russia, Communist China?
The arms that are coming from Communist China are going to Iraq. The chemical and biological, bacteriological weapons that went to Iraq came from the United States of America during the Bush administration.
But is it true that Communist China is building up their armies and their arms quietly?
Yes. Communist China was on maneuvers, amphibious maneuvers, and one of the people from the BBC had asked what the hell they were doing. What are you doing? They were planning on an invasion, preparing for an invasion of the United States of America, the same nation that is out Hitler at the height of his hysteria.
Would you say that Communist China is the sleeping giant?
It's not sleeping. It is kept alive because we are feeding them. Oh, if you go to the store and buy anything made in Communist China, you've got to be crazy. You've got to be out of your mind. Our jobs are going south.
Well, they're going everywhere, but now what about the fact that we are getting involved in this, possibly getting involved in the war with Iraq? Why are we getting involved with the war in Iraq?
We'd have to be nuts. You'd have to be crazy to buy into this, to sacrifice our men, our women, our nation, and to allow them to have an opportunity to bring in bacteriological weaponry, chemical weaponry, biological weapons. And they would put on the same roofs as the ATF did when they blew up, or those people, or agents of the government, agents of this administration, blew up the Oklahoma building.
How do you know that?
I've got tapes from eyewitnesses. Jane Graham is one of them, where she says that she's in the building, one of the many witnesses. Testimony has never been allowed, where she heard like a thump noise and the building was shaking. She said, it's an earthquake. They got underneath the desk. About 8 seconds later, the building went down. The building went down from the explosion that was internal. The government has denied this. Lee Harvey McVeigh was a fall guy, just like Lee Harvey Oswald. General Benton Parton says there was 2 separate, distinct explosions. It's on the seismograph at the University of Oklahoma, the U.S. Geological Survey.
Well, why has this Oklahoma bombing been kept so quiet? I mean, compared to other things that happened in this country, like, for example, the nanny. Okay, compared to the nanny case, as compared to the Oklahoma bombing, the nanny case got worldwide publicity. People were up in arms all around the world.
Because the media is manipulated. It's like
heard very little about the Oklahoma bombing.
This woman, Jane Graham, saw a group of people in there. She said GSA people.
What are
cords,
GSA people?
Well, this is government people.
Okay.
And they had some sort of like plastic, like big bars of plastic. explosives that they were putting up. And she said when she came up, they took it and put it in the car. And these guys were arguing back and forth about something. She identified them across from the Oklahoma building in another tape called the Oklahoma Cover-Up, which is put out by Jerry Longsbaugh. This tape is extremely important. Her testimony hasn't been used. General Parton's testimony that you can't have an asymmetrical Chinese. He's whining and dining him. He's in bed with them, for God's sakes. I don't know whether literally, but certainly figuratively.
In the Lincoln bedroom?
Yeah, in the Lincoln bedroom.
Just joking.
Man held for thoughts. In communist China, you're arrested for having independent thoughts, and yet the President of the United States is bringing over this guy here, Jiang, with a three-corner, patriot hat.
Well, speaking of independent thoughts,
trying to make this guy into some sort of patriot, for God's sakes.
But
after murdering
on that
60
line
million people.
of independent thoughts, where did the term political correctness come from? Because
being politically correct
you would not have an independent
you don't have any mind.
Exactly.
You're a mindless drone. You're a piece of mush molded by the media.
But people,
you're never, ever, ever to think for yourself.
But
tomorrow all the things were gone, I'd worked for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife. I thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston, and New York to